Hello, book friends. It's Alyssa. Welcome back to the channel. Hello if you're new. If you are subscribed, thank you. If you're not subscribed, consider subscribing. I make bookish content and sometimes I stream gaming, and that's me. Anyway, onto the video. I've had an idea bopping around in my head for quite a while, and I thought it's time to start filming this series. A while back, I noticed that there are books that I've read that feel like they'd be better read as pairings, as companion reads. They're not by the same authors, maybe not even written at the same period of time. They're not maybe not even contemporaries of each other, but they are books that I feel kind of enhance the experience of the other. And I kind of want to create a little nook here on my channel where I commemorate those reads. And I welcome you to give me your pairings, the books that come to mind for you that would work like this for you. I would love to then maybe read them and see if I agree. But I'm going to start with the pairing that put this idea in my head that you can read books almost like pairing foods to enhance flavors. The inaugural pairing is going to be the great American novel, The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald, and Passing by Nella Larson. These books are contemporary to each other, especially in setting and a little bit in place. They are both set in New York in the 20s. They deal with different things and take on different snapshots of America, but I don't think that you can call one the great American novel without having read the other. I feel like there are voices and points of view that are very much missing from The Great Gatsby that you get some of when you read Passing. Obviously, even this isn't a complete cross section of all the voices that make up America and that would collectively create the great American novel. But I do think it's a good start. It starts to balance the narrative. And I really do think that they do better being read together by the modern reader. And this is all sparked by this one scene here in the very beginning of Great Gatsby, where they're sort of sitting around, like reading the paper or like whatever, being people of leisure. And Tom says, "Civilization's going to pieces," broke out Tom violently. "I've gotten to be a terrible pessimist about things. Have you read The Rise of the Colored Empires by this man Goddard?" "Why, no," I answered, rather surprised by his tone. "Well, it's a fine book and everybody ought to read it. The idea is, if we don't look out, the white race will be utterly submerged. It's all scientific stuff. It's been proved." "Tom's getting very profound," said Daisy. "He reads deep books with long words in them. What is the word we—" "Well, these books are all scientific," insisted Tom, glancing at her impatiently. "This fellow has worked out the whole thing. It's up to us, who are the dominant race, to watch out, or these other races will have control of things." "We've got to beat them down," whispered Daisy, winking ferociously toward the fervent sun. And I remember every time I've read this, that section, that scene sticks in my mind and makes me incredibly uncomfortable, particularly as a modern reader. When I picked up Passing by Nella Larson, I kept thinking back to that scene and thinking back to Tom. Who's Tom talking about? This is who's Tom talking about. Tom is talking about, up and coming Black men and women making lives for themselves in Harlem and potentially pushing them out of jobs, being able to stand on the same footing as them, and heaven forbid, passing as white and infiltrating Tom's society. And here we have Passing, where Nella Larson writes about Claire Kendry, who does such a thing. She marries a very white man, a very white supremacist kind of man, and passes as white and gets away with it for many, many years until she runs into her friend, Irene. And Irene and Claire rekindle a friendship, potentially I feel like there's undertones of Irene having either just a general obsession with Claire based on danger and flirting with danger, or does she have some sort of romantic obsession with Claire under the surface? Perhaps we can argue that. But there's this whole story that unravels and the fear that unravels around passing and why people pass, how people pass, the dangers of finding out that someone has been passing, especially for somebody like Claire, who is doing it at such a high level that puts her own child at risk by doing this. And of course, it ends in quite a dramatic way. And I would love anybody who's read this to leave down in the comments, pushed or jumped, you tell me which one it is. But I just felt like after reading Passing, and there is quite an extensive breakdown of this somewhere here on the channel where Naomi and I, my podcast co-host, and I go through Passing, because this book is phenomenally written. It is a wonderful example of how you can use incredibly sparse and precise prose to create an incredibly lush and impactful story. But I feel like these two together provide a better understanding of this moment in time, the past that is still reflected in our present of America and our values and our fears and our nasty underbellies. And I felt like they needed to go together. And I remember when we finished reading Passing, I had Naomi reread The Great Gatsby. It just makes sense. When you read them together, one right after the other, it makes sense that they should go together, that these two, they're so much better together. There's a lot of similar themes between Gatsby and Claire, and this doing anything you can to make yourself better, to be deserving of other things, the need to be greedy, and or how you turn to greed to somehow save your life. Gatsby's trying to get Daisy, Claire's trying to better her life, and maybe not necessarily in like an altruistic kind of way where you're sympathetic to her. She wants the trappings of wealth. She doesn't want to be under a thumb. But she also misses her community, and so she flirts with being found out by going back to Harlem, by continuing to pursue Rainey. And editing Alyssa, just wanted to jump in because as I'm reviewing this, I have some thoughts that I didn't articulate. One of the similarities between Gatsby and our characters in Passing is this idea that they are never really going to be able to achieve the same level of class sophistication acceptance into certain areas because of certain other things that make them outside of the group. You know, Gatsby is poor and from a lower class, and Renee and her husband and Claire are Black. So, despite the fact that Renee's husband is a doctor and has standing in the community, and Renee has standing in community, and they live well, they have good means, they have climbed the social ladder, they are still not going to be able to achieve the same rung on that ladder as someone like maybe Tom. I just wanted to point out that other similarity because I think it's an important similarity. This idea of being outside, othered, that you can do all the same things, you can have all the same things, but simply by your birth, you could still remain an outsider to a group, like Gatsby is to all the rich people he's trying to woo, and as Irene and Claire are as Black women in America. Yeah, that's all. They're both really fascinating, tragic stories at the end that have been able to stand the test of time. And I encourage you, if you've read one and not the other, please read them both together and let me know your thoughts on how you felt pairing these two together. And again, I would love to know your pairings, the things that you feel like would do incredibly well together as companion novels. I have another one of these that I am bopping around how to describe in a future video, but I will be on the lookout for more companion reads. And I hope you enjoy this little sort of mind dump recommendation sort of style vague review of books. Yeah, that's it. Like and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next video, whatever it may be, because it's my channel and I can do whatever I want. Bye.
So just sit with me, talking to the night until the morning, building chemistry.